Hello, Joe. These are your carburetors that Eric is going to install on your car, and I'm going to give you a tutorial and do not what I'd call a cold start test, because it's really hot today, but it's an ambient temperature start test. Give you an idea. Here's the garage door, 103. Here's some wood, 101. Here's the carburetors, 101. So we are at ambient temperature, and certainly not what I'd call cold. Let's go over a few things here before I use the tripod. We're going to be making some adjustments. These adjustments will be the idle mixture screw right here, one on the first barrel of each carburetor, right here, right here. This screw is a dummy, and it remains closed. Don't touch it. It doesn't do anything. Just leave it alone. The other adjustment we'll be making is to the idle speed, and this dictates how much air is going to be flowing through the carburetors, and it just sets our idle, and we're going to be adjusting it with the synchrometer. If you don't have one of these are great. Get one of these synchrometer, the BK 1-35. Right out of the box, it's perfect for the 190 SL. And the other adjustment down here is for the follower pin that adjusts the clearance between the second barrel butterfly and the first barrel. And that's not a too terribly difficult concept. When you floor the accelerator and open up all four barrels at above 3,000, 3,500, the vacuum here sends a signal and opens up this vacuum diaphragm, open up to the second barrel. When you chop the throttle, this pin right here, actually it's a screw. This impinges on a pin that's further down, and that artificially closes the second barrel. And you have to maintain the proper clearance between this long screw and this pin, so that this barrel is forced closed, but at the same time this pin is not adjusted too far in, so that it artificially opens up the first barrel and it messes with your idle. At the same time, if you change your idle speed, you have to go back and readjust this screw right here. It's not very difficult, just something to be aware of. Choke cable connectors, they are adjustable a little bit. These set screws and jam nuts right here adjust the angle of dangle so that you can get your cable lined up with your air log. Remember, the air log supports the cable, and the cable is like 3 feet long, goes up to the dash. And when you pull on your choke cable, you're moving these levers, but they're not coming straight up. They're coming up in an arc. You're also moving a lever underneath here, and at the same time you're moving your throttle linkage and all the throttle linkage to the pedal. And so that's why it's so hard to pull the choke from the dash. So make sure all these parts, the cable is lubed, well lubed, and you got good throttle action here, no slop, etc. And your ball joints are all good and lubricated. In terms of installation, install the carburetors loosely. And let's see, I think it's time to go on the tripod here. Get this set up. All right. In terms of carb installation, you're going to install the carburetors, keep them relatively loose. They wiggle a little bit, and then you install your air log on the studs, because there's enough wiggle in the carbs that if you lock them down, it's possible the air log will not go in place. So install the air log with the carburetors loose, snug down the air log with a couple of nuts, then do the finishing up, tightening of your carburetors. One of the easiest tools to use for getting in here and taking care of the carburetor installation is a 1/4-inch drive wobble socket. That makes a huge difference in how these things install. Always use a wrench to stabilize the fitting in the float bowl cover, and then you do all your wrenching up here on the swivel fitting for the fuel line. You want to stabilize this fitting so that you don't take any chances of messing up the threads in here, which, by the way, have been helicoiled along with all these threads and all the other wear points for the threads and the vehicle around the carbs. Let's see, I'm going to start it and get it warmed up, because you can only adjust the carburetors when it's warm. I'm going to be using this analog tachometer to adjust the carburetors, to show you how that's done. And what we're going to be doing is screwing in and out the idle mixture screw until we get the best running of the carburetors without any hesitation or backfire. Okay, I think we're ready to go. That's not bad. Right into a smooth idle. Now you will notice that when I move the choke here, we're also moving our throttle back here. So notice that. That's your fast idle. All it is just depressing the throttle artificially with a little lever back here. The clearance on the lever back here is 15 thousandths, and you need to set that. I'll set it for sure, but you need to set that. Double check it before you install the carbs, because you can't do it. It's almost impossible to adjust this thing when it's in place. So we're going to warm up the carburetors. Notice there's no leaks, no fuel dribbling, no leaks anywhere. While we're warming it up, troubleshooting, if you ever get any drips out of here, the possibility that this check valve has got a piece of grit in it, real easy to access from the front once you have the air log off. There's a tiny screen on there to screen out any debris. Got to make sure your fuel is fresh. Make sure the fuel tank is clean inside and not shedding any of the original lining inside of it. Clean fuel and filtered fuel is very critical for these carburetors. Alright, we are warmed up. Doesn't take much to warm them up on a 103-degree day. First thing to do is you disconnect the linkage so that these are running independently of each other. Next, we're going to check airflow. What we want to do is we're trying to make sure we have minimal airflow through here, because it idles on the first barrel only, so any airflow through here is going to interrupt our idle. So we want minimal airflow. You can see that barely moved there. Barely moved there. Again, that has to do with that pin and screw that I was showing you earlier. Now we're going to make sure we have uniform air through here. Obviously, I've already tuned these. So we're reading, move this down. So we're reading approximately, what's that, 6, 7, 8. All right, and 6. So I have to pull up on my, I didn't pull up on my throttle linkage enough. I was getting lazy. All right, 6 right there. 6 right there. So we come over here. Well, while we're idling, let's go ahead and we're going to adjust our idle mixture screw. This is how the idle mixture screw adjusts. Let's see if I can get that on camera. Okay, right there. Gonna screw it in until the engine stumbles, screw it out until the engine stumbles, and get our best idle. See, it doesn't take much. Back it out. Doesn't take much. There we go, there's our best idle. That's how easy that is. Now then, let's use the tachometer and watch. Do several things at the same time here. Alright. We are on the RPM scale right here. We got two scales. The lower one's the low speed and the upper one's the high speed. So I'm going to switch to low RPM. And you'll see we're idling at about 600. Just for fun, let's see how low we can get this thing to idle. There's 500, 475. There's 400 RPM. That's how good these carburetors are when you get them machined properly. Let's bounce it back up to proper RPM. Should be around 700. Alright, now there's reading 700, but we won't know if we're right on 7, if we are equal in terms of the airflow. Alright, so we want equal airflow with it at that 700 level. So right now we're at, take it over here. There's 6, 7, 6, almost 7. Alright. And we're still reading around 750 in terms of RPM. Next thing you do is you adjust your throttle linkage. That's why there's a turnbuckle here. So when you adjust your throttle linkage properly, that this thing just snaps into place and doesn't adjust the idle. Now we do a hot start. Even if I do say so myself, those are some really nice carburetors. Thank you for letting me do them for you.